In the first 4 months of 2026 across all of our client ad accounts, we've generated over £500,000 in booked jobs. On top of that, another £1.2 million in quoted jobs. In this video, I'm going to be running through the 7 mistakes killing UK renovation companies, including all the mistakes I've seen across our client ad accounts based on the data that they've previously been given. And on top of that, the data that we use to create our client ad campaigns. So to get straight into this, the hard truth that most renovation companies don't want to hear, roughly 95% of your Meta Ads budget right now is being wasted. And just to give you reassurance, it's not that your business isn't good enough. It's mainly because the industry norm is repeating the same 7 mistakes that I'll be running through in this video. And the worst part is most of the industry actually accepts this as a normal. So in this video, I'll be breaking down how to get out of this cycle, out of these 7 mistakes. Over the last year, I've worked with over 10 UK renovation companies doing over 40k a month in revenues. Some of our clients like Butler's Direct have spent £622 in ad spend and generated £46,593 just in their first 30 days of working with us. And Academy Concepts, who had nothing beforehand and they were only relying on referrals, they spent £1,300 in their first 60 days with us, and we generated them over £200,000 in revenue. And the thing is, none of this actually happens when you're following what most agencies are selling. And if you want the results that 95% of the industry isn't getting, you have to stop following it. And these are the mistakes that we always see in every other marketing agency, right? Generic ads, low intent leads, manual chasing, and a wasted budget of over 95%, which just isn't sustainable when you're trying to get to a level of over £100,000 a month in revenue. To get good results, you can't be doing what everyone else is doing. If you want to be extraordinary, you can't be doing other things that normal people are doing, and you can't be following the industry standards, because who wants to be the industry standard? And this is why it's so important to actually recognize the mistakes that are going on inside of these agencies. So I'll be giving you the full breakdown of what these actual mistakes are and how it can actually be killing your growth. There are owner mistakes and there are agency mistakes, so we will be covering both of them and identifying which ones are which in this video. No matter what these mistakes are, this is costing millions in the UK renovation industry, and these are the things that you need to address as soon as possible. So if you're doing over £40,000 a month or more in revenue, just stay along. We'll be able to show you how to grow predictably, what to do, what not to do, and the roadmap for renovation growth. Almost every industry I've looked into has the same recycled advice, and it's all being handed down by agencies who didn't really understand the business they were working with, and the renovation industry has to be one of the worst ones I've seen. Owners being sold lead volume instead of qualified buyers, being locked into 12-month contracts with systems that don't even work, being shown vanity metrics that actually doesn't matter for your industry, showing you clicks, impressions, and cost per lead when them things don't actually matter in this industry, right? You need to care about these cost per consultations. You need to see when the money's actually coming from. I'd always recommend for renovation companies, the things that actually matter is the revenue per job and the cost per qualified consultation. So when I built Sculpt and Scale, I actually started it the other way around. We done no long contracts, no vanity metrics, and a one niche focus to specialize within the industry. Because we built Sculpt and Scale this way, we were able to create a clear outcome, and we was able to put real data in front of our clients every single week. And that's why this video actually is very important. I've watched the same playbook being run on renovation companies over the last 2 years, and almost nobody in this industry is saying this out loud. So it's time to break the silence, and it's time to actually give useful information for the renovation industry. So because of that, let's get into the 7 mistakes on what's actually killing your growth. Mistake number 1 is no clear positioning. And the problem is with this mistake, it makes everything else worse. It's a compounding result. Most renovation companies I've spoken to always say, we do kitchens, or we supply kitchens and bathrooms. And the problem with that, right, is that that doesn't clarify any positioning or authority. In a market where everyone else is competing for like a 30-mile radius, is saying the exact same thing, being generic is the fastest way to compete on price. When you're generic, you can't stand out. You're invisible to everyone else. So you are going to look the exact same, even if your service may be better. Positioning means being known for something specific, whether that's luxury German kitchens for over £25,000, so you're more high-end, or knock through open plan specialists, handmade solid wood. It doesn't matter, but as long as you have a specification, you have a clearer position in the market, which leads to being able to gain authority. The goal isn't to be the biggest, right? It's just about being the obvious choice in your local area. When you think of narrowing your position down, you think it makes a lot of people nervous, going from you were already struggling in the first place, right? You was already competing on price, but now you're going to be even more specific. It doesn't really make sense to a lot of companies, but that's where they're wrong. When you actually niche down even more, you can charge a premium on what you're doing because you are known as a specialist in your area. Don't think just because you're narrowing down, you're going to get less jobs. You'll be getting better quality jobs with the right people that you want instead of just competing on price in every quote. The perfect example for this is Butlers Direct. They generated £46,593 in 30 days, and that was in the same town, same homeowners, just a different message, just because of the authority and positioning that we place them in. Most owners don't fix this because, like I said, it feels way too risky. You feel like you're cutting out even more people and you don't even have enough money coming in to do something like that. You need to get out of the mindset of being generic and actually start being a specialist in your niche. And positioning is the foundation of being able to do what you want, and it's what pulls you out of the noise so you can actually do what you want, be known for what you want to become as well. Now, mistake number 2, I see way too many people doing this. There's way too many businesses in the UK, especially kitchen renovation companies, that are too busy competing on price. These things all interlink. When you have bad positioning, you will be competing on price and you will be offering discounts, but that's the exact problem. And that's why so many businesses are stuck in the generic mindset, because they don't realize that these things connect. And the only lever that you have left when you don't have positioning is price. It's the only tool that you have, so that's what's going to make you compete. And this is where a lot of businesses actually get stuck into a discount trap. And this is when you start offering £1,000 off your new kitchen, free worktops with every order. But this is just going to add fuel to the fire, right? If you're already having that many people coming in competing on price, why do you think this is going to make it any better? It's only going to add more people that you don't want coming into your business. The only people that will be looking for discounts are price shoppers. So this is something that you want to remove as soon as possible. And you can do that once you have the positioning in your market. And the result for all these renovation companies is it's just going to be a race to the bottom. You don't want to be in a situation where you're competing on price, you're dropping your margins. If you're only getting 20 or 30% on a kitchen renovation and you're knocking your price down off that even more, your profitability for the year is not going to be any better than what it was before. And just like I covered there, the real problem with discounts is that it attracts the wrong buyers. Discount-led offers pull in price offers, and it's only looking for the people who are looking for the cheapest job. This is the profile of these people that you're going to be chasing. You're going to get negotiators, people that are going to ghost on you straight after the consultation. And if you actually do a good job, they're still probably going to complain. And that's something that you don't want for your business. You've worked hard for this. Why would you want someone else staining your reputation as a result of having to compete on price for them in the first place? Whereas when you flip that and actually look at your premium buyers that you want for your business, they'll be spending 25 to 60k, and they'll be coming to you based on trust, quality and confidence. And you can only get in front of them people if you have the right positioning. So I hope you can see where I'm going with this video, because everything is going to link back to the mistake beforehand. And to attract these kind of people, you have to give them what they actually want. Authority, coming in like the expert as you should be, which would come from positioning. And you need to have confidence. This happened with my clients. When we started running authority-based ads, the positioning for them was way better. And this was the first pivot that we actually done for my clients. We stopped running discount-led ads and moved straight to authority-led ads. And what happened in the first 14 days is that the lead quality went up by miles. And now that you're in this new position, you're going to be getting higher value jobs, less time wasted on bad quality leads, and you're going to start building momentum. So the final thing I want you to take from that is once you stop chasing discount buyers, you stop attracting them. So the third mistake that we always see is using the wrong benchmarks to judge your marketing, right? I spoke to a renovation company and they told me the last agency said, oh, the CPL needs to be under £10, which is cost per lead. Or they have a friend who's selling shirts online and they're getting a 6-to-1 ratio for their return on ad spend. And the thing is, they're trying to match one industry with another, and they are two completely different things, right? It's such an industry mismatch. When you're selling a t-shirt for 25 quid compared to a renovation company trying to sell a service worth over £30,000, how do you think that them two will have the same sales cycles? It's absolutely delusional to think that. One of them requires a lot more trust and has a longer sales cycle, probably up to 12 weeks. The sales cycle, the lifetime values, the margins, the ad costs, none of it lines up. Comparing them is like comparing a football match to a rugby match. They operate on two completely different economics and scoring structures. So why would you compare them? And here are the gaps of the two industries. The average order value of a shirt will be around £25, and kitchen will be around £30,000 and take up to 3 months. You shouldn't be judging these on the primary metric of return on ad spend. You should be doing it on a cost per consultation basis. And this is where businesses actually simply need to shift to the right benchmarks for a renovation company. The right benchmarks for a renovation business, they're completely different. Cost per qualified consultation matters 10 times more than a cost per lead. And instead of looking at click-through rate, you should be looking at the close rate of the actual consultations that you're doing. And the best bit of advice I would have for you is to actually compare yourself to the last quarter of your business. Then you can identify what's been improving, what's been falling behind, and how you can approach the next quarter. Mistake number 4 ties back directly to the last mistake, but in my opinion, it deserves its own section because of how much damage it actually does to the industry, and that is the obsession with cost per lead. This is the thing that I see wrong with most agencies out there. It's responsible for killing the most budget. It may look good on paper, right? But this is the thing that kills it silently. And this is what most agencies do. Most agencies in the space celebrate a really good cost per lead because on paper, it does look impressive. One thing that they never take into account is the quality of these leads coming through. And the thing is with that £45 cost per lead, 5 out of 10 of them might actually be serious buyers. And because of that £45 cost per lead, you might actually be able to convert 2 or 3 of them, even though the lead volume isn't there. And at that £12 cost per lead, probably 1 in 40 of them are worth giving a call. And this is where you need to reframe the numbers. Cost per lead's gone down, but your qualified consultation rate has gone down with it. So what's the point in a good cost per lead if you aren't actually getting anything from it? There's no point in having a low cost per lead if nothing is converting. And then this is where you actually need to take into account the quality so much more. 1 qualified consultation is worth at least 10 casual inquiries from tire kickers or low intent leads. And if your agency isn't telling you this, they are measuring the wrong thing. From all the data I've tracked, the cost per qualified consultation, it has to be the best one to follow. Whether it's £80 or £200, it doesn't matter. This is the metric that actually pays you. If your average job value is around £30,000 and you're getting 3 consultations booked in, you need to start seeing that as a revenue potential of £10,000 per consultation. That's how you have to treat these leads. Because at the end of the day, this is what's going to be putting money in your pocket. And once you make a shift from, how many leads did we get to how many buyers did we actually attract, that will be the single most important thing that you can do for your marketing. Mistake number 5, and this is the thing that kills most deals than any ad campaign could ever generate, right? And it is a total absence of a follow-up sequence after the consultation. And here's a pattern that I see out of probably 8 out of 10 renovation companies that I audit. An inquiry from the ad lands to the owner's WhatsApp. And the problem is the owner's probably on site or he's taking another call, so he's too busy to answer it as soon as a lead comes through. Because of that, a day or 2 passes, he forgets about it, and then the lead hasn't been contacted within like 2 days. And because that owner didn't speak to the lead within the first 2 days, they've probably gone elsewhere. They've probably spoken to at least another 3 competitors, and that's why speed to lead is so important. There is also another variation to this, and this is when a customer gets booked in for a consultation, but they get no confirmation message or appointment reminder, no case studies or review shared in advance. The homeowner is showing up with no idea of who you are. And it results in 2 hours wasted on someone who was never even going to buy in the first place. And this is the process gap that I see between agencies that are still making these mistakes and the ones that have the correct system in place. For a typical renovation company, they get a new lead, it goes into their inbox, and they're contacted maybe 2 days later. As a result of this, they go to the consultation cold, there's no nurturing, and they don't have a clue who you are. With our system, the Local Authority Accelerator, we've made another video on this actually, so you can check that out. When a new lead comes through, they have to go through a qualification process before they can even submit their details. This is so we understand their budget and time frame before the lead even comes through. Once they filled out these details, they go straight into a nurturing sequence with automated messages, understanding a bit more about what they want, the colors, the style, the dimensions, and how qualified their budget actually is. From this, their appointment set from our team, and then they actually go into a consultation with you, knowing who you are, understanding your services, and why they should choose you. And there's a clear difference in what happens to that customer. One of them just books them in for a call and they go, whereas our system actually respects a lead, understands them, wants to know what they want, and knows who you are before the consultation. One of our clients who would like to stay anonymous, they got 20 qualified consultations in the first 30 days because of this. Same ads, same budget, but they actually got the respect they deserved. And the core difference we always see is that the system finally got respected. Once you respect the system will respect your business. And this is how you need to look at it. Once you treat it with respect, it will become predictable and valuable. Now, mistake number 6, no data visibility. This is the one mistake that quietly makes every other mistake on this list so much worse. Operating without data visibility is like flying a plane with no instruments. When I ask a renovation company all these questions, what's your cost per job? What's your cost per consultation? Do Tuesday's leads convert better than Saturday leads? None of them know this because they aren't tracking their data. If you don't know which part of your pipeline is leaking, you can't fix it. A lot of agencies actually use this as a smoke mirror, and they benefit from the client not having visibility of this data. And when the owner doesn't have the data every week, all the conversations will stay surface level. And the problem is the agencies will say, we got you 60 leads this month. But the reality is, great, but how many of them are actually qualified? How many of them will impact my business? We brought your CPL down to 30%. Great, but what is the revenue per job doing? Sam at Academy Concepts is a very good example of this, of what changes when data visibility goes from 0 to full. Before we worked together, he had no clue when his next kitchen renovation project was coming in. And after 60 days, he generated over £200,000 in revenue. And the best part is he knew exactly which campaign done it, which angles are working, and what part of the campaign is making so much money. With all that visibility, you can actually work out how to scale this business. Without data, every month is a gamble. You may as well just be chucking money on the roulette and hoping for the best. But with data, you can scale it like an engine. You know exactly where to invest it and it's predictable. And this is what takes your lucky months into a scalable business. Data is so important for us because with our system, the Local Authority Accelerator, this is what drives it. Without it, you are just flying blind. So the final mistake is structural. It's the one thing renovation companies don't realize they're doing until they're already trapped, and it's signing in long contracts with agencies. The industry standard for ad agencies in this space is around 6 to 12 months for a long contract. The thing is, the logic sounds alright, yeah, but it's an industry lie. So they always say, dads need time to work, it takes months to optimize, and it's a long-term partnership. And what actually happens is 2 or 3 months later, the leads are poor and the ROI isn't landing, the agencies are blaming the market, and then the owner wants out, right? But then they still have another 9 or 10 months of a monthly retainer still to pay for. And now the incentive has completely gone wrong. The agency has no pressure to perform because now they've got you in a long contract, and the owner actually has no leverage because the only way is paying them out the rest of the term. And the thing is, this is just my opinion, but a good agency should be confident enough in their work to let you leave at any point. Monthly rolling, 30-day notice, and the results that actually speak for themselves every month. If the results stop, the client leaves. That's fair enough. And I think both sides need to be accountable instead of just putting it all in a long-term contract. You don't need a long contract to protect a good relationship, and a good relationship doesn't actually need protecting if you're getting them the results. So rule of thumb for all renovation companies watching this, never sign away your leverage. So just to bring this all together, these 7 mistakes don't actually exist in isolation. They compound on top of each other, right? And just like you can see here, no positioning creates price competition. Price competition goes to the wrong buyers. When you have the wrong buyers, it leads to having the wrong benchmarks. And then when you have bad benchmarks, you get caught in a CPL trap worrying about the CPL. And then once you're worrying about the CPL, unqualified inquiries come. But the good news about this is that the opposite is also true. If you fix one of them, the others start to improve. So when you fix your positioning, you're attracting these better buyers. And then once you start measuring the data right, you stop wasting money on ad spend. Once you build the correct systems, your close rate will improve and you'll be selling more and improving your revenues. And this is why fixing these mistakes is so important. And when you actually look at these things deep down, nothing about it is actually complicated. It's just a complete opposite of what this industry has been selling for the past decade. So if you are a renovation company watching this doing over £40,000 a month or more in revenue, and you recognize yourself in any of these mistakes I've just walked through, there's a link in the description that will take you to a short call. It's no pitch, no pressure. It's just a conversation about what's actually working in your business and what isn't, and whether the approach I've shared here would fit the way you run things. Either way, the one thing I'd leave you with is this. The renovation companies that win over the next 5 years won't be the ones with the biggest ad budgets. They'll be the ones who stop repeating the industry's 7 biggest mistakes. Pick one, fix it this month. The compound effect takes care of the rest. If you want to see more content like this in regards to the industry, there'll be a lot more coming out this year, so make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest content.